Some exciting news today. After more than 5 years, Transformers will be returning to the free Comic Book Day platform. It's been a while. IDW was having a lot of difficulty with the Transformer comic book sales, and as a result kind of chose not to use Transformers as their representative in the free Comic Book Day platform, and they would use other brands. And now that Skybound Entertainment has the Transformer brand after IDW's financial issues, Skybound, due to their huge success with the Transformer comics and everything else, is going to have a Transformer comic book on free Comic Book Day in 2024, May 2024 to be exact. We'll get into all the fine details in a moment and how you can participate with that. But what is free Comic Book Day? Why am I excited about that? Well, free Comic Book Day is a very important day, in my opinion, for comic book stores and just the ecosystem of your local comic book store, if anything else. Essentially what the story is many years ago, back in 2001, a comic book store owner by the name of Joe Field, he was seeing the huge success of the X-Men movies, the Spider-Man movies, even the Star Wars movies that were happening with the prequels. And he figured, look at all of this interest that's happening with these live action movies and stuff, and people are, all these non-comic book readers and non-geeks are enjoying this media. Why don't we take that media momentum and kind of funnel that into our local comic book stores at no cost to them and get them potentially to be interested in comic books and comic book, store culture and all the stuff that comes from that, and potentially make lifelong customers by giving them, a free comic book. And he planned this idea, let's do free Comic Book Day. We'll have some free books that are made specifically for that day based off of these big media properties. And then maybe people will read them, get into it, and we might have customers for the rest of our lives. And he shopped it around, and 2,000 stores got behind it across the United States and Canada. And major comic book companies kind of liked that idea too, because it was only beneficial for them ultimately in the end to also participate. And the humble beginnings of it, in 2002, 4 comic books came out from 4 comic book companies, and the very first free Comic Book Day was born. It was Spider-Man with Marvel. It was Star Wars with Dark Horse. It was Tomb Raider with Image. And of course, Tomb Raider was just coming off of their successful Angelina Jolie movie in 2001, and they had a sequel coming in 2003, so Tomb Raider was going to be the representative there. Also covers the video game people too, in a small sense. And Justice League was there with DC. Those 4 first books represented free Comic Book Day. And of course, in 2003, those 4 books tripled to 12, and multiple companies, including small indie companies, got into the fray, and free Comic Book Day kind of evolved into what it is today. And now we have all of those companies. And that very first, year of the true free Comic Book Day, in a lot of ways, was where we got our very first free Comic Book Day Transformer book, which Dreamwave was coming off of their huge success with the first issue of the G1 book, and they kind of wanted to throw their hat into the game here, so they did a Transformers Armada free Comic Book Day book, and it was an original story, which sometimes free Comic Book Day stuff is reprints of previous stories, sometimes it's brand new content. Dreamwave went for the brand new content kind of thing, and it was an Armada book kind of promoting the brand new cartoon, the brand new toy line. So again, a smart move by Free Comic Book Day and Dreamwave to kind of promote something that'll be toys and comic books and video games and action figures. So really smart move on Dreamwave to do that. And of course, obviously, Dreamwave kind of went bankrupt, unfortunately, for completely different reasons. But then when IDW Publishing then got the Transformers license, they picked up the slack and started doing the free Comic Book Day thing. Then in 2006, we got that Beast Wars free Comic Book Day, which also had a reprint cover. Like, it actually had a variant cover, which is pretty crazy with the infiltration stuff. In 2007, they did a free Comic Book Day, obviously promoting Transformers the movie, the Michael Bay movie. It was the prequel book that was a reprint. This book, 2 years later, I guess they had tons of excess inventory, was a giveaway given at the VIP screenings of Revenge of the Fallen in 2009. There was like tons of them. So A lot of people actually got that comic if they went to the advanced VIP screenings of Revenge of the Fallen 2. Also in 2009, there was the Transformers Animated Free Comic Book Day comic that they did. In 2012, they did the Transformers Regeneration Free Comic Book Day, which was also an original story with Simon Furman. Great book. In 2013, they didn't use Transformers as their Free Comic Book Day. Sales were kind of slipping with More Than Meets the Eye and a lot of the other TF-related books, so they kind of like went, okay, we'll use Judge Dredd to represent IDW Comics for 2013. But in 2014, we got the fantastic Tom Sicoli Transformers vs. G.I. Joe original story Free Comic Book Day. In 2015, again, always a good way to promote what's happening with toys and comics, they did the Robots in Disguise original story for Free Comic Book Day in 2015. And then, of course, in 2016, again, Transformer sales were kind of down. That was the Lost Light books that weren't selling very well. Transformers was kind of on its way out with IDW. Unfortunately, Hasbro wasn't too happy with what they were doing. So they used ROM and Action Man to kind of be their representative with IDW at the time for 2016. And then in 2018, to close it all off, the Transformers Unicron stories, which was going to be kind of the end of that first IDW universe. And then that was it. No more Free Comic Book Days with Transformers. Transformers would be persona ingrata in a lot of ways with IDW. If they had to do a Free Comic Book Day, they'd use one of the other licenses they had. They had Ninja Turtles and others, so they would use that. But it's been 5 years, and now they're back, and that's absolutely fantastic. And it's going to be done, obviously, through Skybound. Free Comic Book Day is going to be May 4th, 2024. They announced a whole bunch of free comic books already. It's pretty early. It's still quite a few months away, but it's pretty early, and they showed pretty much a whole bunch of comic books that you'll be getting for free that day, as well as the Transformer book. They don't have the cover yet. The cover will be coming, but the cover will be an exclusive cover done by Ryan Otley. And he's someone that did one of the variant covers for the #1 issue of Transformers through Skybound. So if you look at that cover, you could kind of get an idea of what his art style is and what this unique cover will be for this one. It's going to be a brand new, unique story in the Energon universe. And it's also going to feature stuff from Transformers and Void Rivals in it. So it's going to be like, I think, 3 stories in one book. So there's multiple artists on it, multiple authors, with Robert Kirkman and Daniel Warren Johnson. So a lot of crazy stuff. Very excited about this. Again, I love Free Comic Book Day. It's always a great day out of the year. I go to my local comic book store easily, minimum once a month. And I love those guys. They're amazing dudes. But when I go on Free Comic Book Day, that's when the store is probably the busiest it ever is, because tons of people come, they go, they pick up the free books, but they also buy stuff from the store. You know, sometimes they get customers that they only see once a year, and they make money that year. Even though they're giving away free books, they're also making money because people make impulse purchases in the comic book stores. It could be anything. Could be just some loose books, could be some discounts, could be some deals. So it's fantastic news that Transformers is getting back on the bandwagon with the Free Comic Book Day thing, and I'm just super excited about it. Again, Void Rivals has been selling insanely well for Skybound with the Transformers twist on it. The Transformer book has been selling well. The G.I. Joe book has been selling well. So it's good to see that there's all this success happening with the comic books, with Transformers, with Hasbro and Transformers and Skybound and Image. Great stuff. Let me know what you think, guys. And are you excited about Free Comic Book Day? Have you got stuff in the past? I mean, Transformers, you know, there's a little bit of a deep history when it comes in a lot of ways to Transformers and free comic books, because it goes all the way back to 1993, where Marvel at one point was doing their Halloween special edition giveaways, which select comic book stores during Halloween would be open, and then kids could go to comic book stores during Halloween, and instead of getting candy, they'd get a free comic book. But these comic books were extremely, you know, let's put it this way, cost sensitive. They were much thinner. They were slightly larger in size, but they were thinner in page count. They were made completely in newsprint, even including the covers, and they were just made super low cost. And, you know, there were Spider-Man, I believe there was an X-Men book, But there was also a Generation 2 Transformers book. And because these titles were so low quality and stuff like that, a lot of people usually passed up on these. They didn't take them seriously from a speculator standpoint. And because of their weird size that wasn't like your standard comic book, and the fact that it was newsprint material from front to back, they got damaged very easily. They weren't able to be stored and protect properly. So very few of those survived in the secondary market today. And the Halloween special G2 Transformer comic book goes for crazy money today, despite the fact that it was a free book. So some of these free books, it's kind of worth it to take a look into them. You never know. You never know. It might be worth it just to go out of your way just to pick some up. Go check out your local comic book store, support them, pick up some stuff too, and throw your money at them. It's great stuff. Fantastic. I'm super excited about it. Can't wait for May coming up in 2024. I do it every year. I always talk about it on the live streams. And I wish them all the best. And this is great stuff. Let me know what you think. And let me know if you're excited. And thank you for listening to the Transformer Slag podcast. And I'll talk to you in the near future.